All right, so I'm here with Dennis again, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is when is the best time to use an off-road helmet for street riding. For a lot of people, they would assume that you don't use an off-road helmet for street riding, but my position, my point, and my opinion from many years of experience is there's many applications for street use where an off-road helmet is the better choice. I've been wearing off-road and street helmets both together for a long time, but it was about a decade ago when I started traveling to Southeast Asia that I really began to notice the huge advantages that off-road helmets have over street helmets for riding in road conditions where it's very hot, traffic can be crowded at times, surface conditions can be iffy, and also you might want to have the opportunity to ride off-road, even if it's just a dirt or a gravel road. So Dennis has a lot of experience in this area too, because he spends a lot of time in Indonesia. He has a company that does motorcycle tours, and just normal living, even in between his tours when he's getting around. He's not driving a car like all of us over there. We're moving around by two-wheeled transportation. So we'll let him speak a little bit about his experience, what kind of helmets he uses when he's just living in Bali and just normal everyday life.
Hi. So I just realized that I had been using off-road helmets for all kind of motorcycles more than 10 years. Because I started to use it when I did like professional stunt riding career, and I really love that kind of helmet because of the good ventilation. And when you practice, so stunt riding is about the slow speed, like keeping balance, doing some wheelies, some stoppies, and so on. And during the summertime, even in Russia, you have to have some good kind of ventilation when you feel the fresh air, and you can like keep your practice very efficient. And after I moved to Bali, it's more than 5 years ago, I keep use that type of helmet during all kind of motorcycles, for sure, street bike motorcycles, and it was the same reason. And on Bali, so the weather is around 40
It's
Celsius.
in the high 90s to 100 degrees with very high humidity. So.
Yeah. So it was really nice to use that kind of helmet. And the second reason that we just discussed with you a couple hours ago, it's a view. So you have a great view here from the helmet.
The peripheral vision.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same in Thailand or in Vietnam or in Indonesia. There are 1,000 scooters around you, and that helmet,
and animals, pedestrians, and bicycles,
and everything. There are a lot of obstacles, and you can see. So that works like GoPro 360, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, the basic off-road helmet has these particular advantages when riding on street use when you're in a country where the roads are less than ideal, even in conditions where it's not really hot. As Dennis said, you have really good peripheral vision. And when you're dealing in, like this year alone, I've ridden in Pakistan, Thailand, Vietnam, and Ukraine. And in all those countries, you know, there's situations where you just really want to have excellent peripheral vision to see anything that's coming out at you from the side. Ukraine is not so important for the cooling, but the other countries, it is just be incredibly uncomfortable to wear a street helmet with a face shield, even with the face shield up, when you're sitting in traffic and it's near 100 degrees and 100% humidity. The sun peak, it can be quite nice in the rain. We talked about this yesterday, just to dip your head down a little bit, and can provide quite a good protection from the rain. I wear sunglasses often with the helmet if I'm not on a long ride. If I'm just riding for a couple hours, I wear sunglasses and carry a pair of clear safety glasses in case I'm out at nighttime. If I'm riding for more than 2 or 3 hours, I carry a pair of motocross goggles, but I could carry a pair of clear glasses, tinted sunglasses, and a pair of goggles. All of them don't weigh anything, and you can stick in your pocket. Whereas with the street helmet, to change a face shield from clear to tinted, to carry the extra shield, the expense of the shield, it's very inconvenient, even leaving aside the temperature factor. And then you always have to worry about the grit and grime of the roads scratching the shield. And, if you have a nice street helmet, a face shield is quite expensive investment. So when I see a lot of the tourists, especially in Thailand, but a little bit in Vietnam, and they have not even open face helmets, but like the shorty helmets that are just basically plastic bowls. And most often the reason they tell me is because they don't want to wear full face helmets because it's hot. Because they're used to, if they ride motorcycles at all, they ride them back in their home Western country, the US or Europe or Australia. And so they're thinking of a full face street helmet with a face shield. I'm like, that thing you're wearing has got little or no safety protection. Half the time they come off your head, and even if they don't come off your head, you have to hit the helmet only on the location where it's at and not anywhere else to get any protection. And I tell them if you wear an off-road helmet, you get all the protection of a full face street helmet, and the helmet has virtually the same amount of airflow and cooling as just wearing one of those beanie helmets. And the weight is a modern fiberglass, aramid, Kevlar, carbon fiber off-road helmet is very lightweight. They are not heavy at all. They weigh not much more than a cheap helmet you'd buy on a roadside somewhere in Indonesia or Vietnam. So it would be a huge safety benefit. But what kind? So when you're riding, when are the times that you do ride with a street helmet? Obviously, when you go to a track day.
Yeah,
like I would never ride on a track with a motocross helmet. Not even supermoto. If I was riding not like a mini moto, but a real supermoto, I would wear a street helmet. But for sure on a Western style highway or road or any kind of sport bike riding, I would prefer to have a full face helmet. But are there times where you wear a full face helmet in Indonesia other than like on the racetrack?
So in Indonesia, I used my street helmet only at Lombok MotoGP racetrack, and that's all. So it depends on your purposes. So my purpose is just with the comfort to reach one, for example, meeting during the day and so on. And my speed limit is around 80 kilometers per hour. And for example, when I use like a road helmet like that, for example, in Russia, when I drive a sport bike or motorcycle like a Ducati Monster, so you cannot. So based on the style, you cannot use that type of the helmet riding Ducati Monster or some cafe race motorcycle.
Now I noticed when you did your Tibet ride, though, you wore a street helmet.
Yeah, because of the temperature, and we used that type of helmet. We will talk about later. So off-road adventure helmet. It helps a lot. So I had some interesting situation with one of my friends. She's traveling all around the world, and 1 year ago I saw her. She drive without helmet. So I asked her. She's a Russian model, and I asked her, so what is the reason why you didn't buy the helmet that costs $100? So what do you think? What was the answer? Why is the Russian model girl?
That's her hair up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. So your safety is a priority.
I'd be more worried about messing my face up. Easy to grow more hair, not easy to grow another nose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but so there is another option though. If you do need the shield and the warmer features of a street helmet, an adventure touring helmet is a good option. It has many of the advantages of both styles. This is a AGV AX9 helmet. It has a very solid face shield mechanism with a full ratchet system, just like any street helmet. If you open the shield all the way up, you get an incredible amount of airflow. It's easy to take the shield off and use it just as a motocross helmet. Essentially becomes basically like the AX8 when it doesn't have the face shield on it. The helmet is still very lightweight. I think with the shield off, it basically weighs the same weight as the X8 motocross helmet. When I'm riding in Ukraine, this is the helmet I wear because it's never really too hot in Ukraine, but I do want an off-road helmet because I want to have the chance to go down a dirt or gravel road. And I'm not really riding off-road like, motocross or enduro, but I do ride considerable distances on dirt roads, and the street helmet, it's really impractical to use a street helmet off-road. It's not at all a problem to use an off-road helmet on the street, though. So this helmet is a very good compromise. It has all the features of both, and you can wear it anywhere. This particular model, it's the first time I've ever owned an AGV AX9 helmet. I've owned a lot of AGV off-road helmets, a lot of AGV street helmets, but I've never owned an adventure touring helmet. And this particular helmet is one of the most, if not the most comfortable helmet I've ever owned. And I rode oftentimes for 7-8 hours in Ukraine, and the helmet was so comfortable after even that many hours of use. I was very surprised. And I'd highly, if anyone's in the market for a adventure touring helmet, I'd highly recommend that you add this to your list of helmets to consider. But so I think for your tours, not so much for Indonesia, but for the Tibet tour and maybe some of the South American tours, an adventure touring helmet could be an interesting option. And if something happens to the shield, it's quite easy just to take the shield off, throw it away if necessary, and just wear goggles or sunglasses. Where a street helmet, I guess theoretically, could put goggles on, it'd look pretty ridiculous, and they wouldn't really stay on the, and you don't have the sun peak either.
Yeah, and it's easy to wash. For example, we have like 10 days of tour, and every day we would like to use a laundry in the hotel, so we just put it off and clean it just to give it to the laundry, and it's fast.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. Even though I have a lot of street helmets that have removable liners in it, but an off-road helmet generally is easier to clean. Even a street helmet with a removable liner isn't so easy to get dirty and clean as off-road helmets are just easier to clean. And there's just something about an off-road helmet that just doesn't. If I had $1,000 Arai or Shoei or AGV or Aero, I just don't want to get it dirty. But when you have a motocross helmet, off-road helmet on, you understand it's off-road, so you don't have exactly the same standards, and they're not as expensive. I mean, a nice carbon fiber AGV helmet's over $1,000. This helmet was about a little less than $600, so it's a lot less money, even though it's expensive. But you can get a nice adventure touring helmet for less than $300. You don't have to spend this kind of money. But this is definitely a good option. So I think we both can agree that there's many riding conditions that an off-road helmet would be a better choice than a street helmet. And my other recommendation would be is to bring your own helmet when you travel. They're not heavy, they're not that big, and even the carry-on luggage of most commercial aircraft, unless you're flying a small commuter jet, they'll even go on the carry and the overhead storage bag. It's so much nicer to have your own helmet that's fit your own head, that you have some experience in, that you haven't, it's not a rental that 500 other people have worn. And it always amazes me how many people I see that will travel and ride motorcycles all the time and don't have their own helmet and are just getting things from the rental shop that are just in terrible condition, no safety standards, dirty. And it's strange to me, but I'm sure you have quite a lot of helmets in your inventory in Indonesia, though.
Yeah, the same off-road helmets.
All right. Well, we'll put some information below. There's a blog article completely on this subject with a lot of links and other information. You can check it out below, and we have some recommended models for the different kinds of riding.
Thank you.